What hobby attracts the biggest douchebags?
I've had horses most of my life. I love horses more than pretty much anything. However, horse people can ruin it for you. The absolute worst are the entitled girls whose daddies pay for absolutely everything, including horses worth tens of thousands of dollars or more. I guess there might be some guys in there too, but it's almost always girls. They are the most entitled, stuck-up, annoying douchebags you can imagine. When I was younger, I didn't even bother trying to show my horse in Western because I couldn't afford a silver-laden saddle and a $20,000 quarter horse. The judges wouldn't have even noticed me in the ring. Haha. My sister was a horse girl, and it was forced upon me because I was the younger child, and it was automatically decided I would partake in the same hobbies as her, so they wouldn't have to buy things for my own hobbies, and I can confirm, without a shadow of a doubt, everything you said about horse girls is mostly true. I say mostly because there are a few level-headed girls in the sport or hobby, but yeah, there's an undeniable trend.
I grew up in Texas and moved to Northern Virginia. Horse culture was night and day between the two regions. Horse people in Virginia pay others to do all the work and training, dress in their boots and hats while they have coffees downtown, and spend far more time in their BMW than on their horses. And everyone I've ever met goes to polo matches in their bow ties. I'd qualify that for douchebaggery.
Camping seems to attract the best and worst. Douchebags in the sense of ruining everyone's time with speakers and trucks and guns. But also massive elitist douchebag gatekeepers who say phrases like, "That's not camping." My motto is, the harder it is to get to, the fewer douchebags. I own property about a half-mile downstream from a campground. 99% of the people there are people coming up from the city for a weekend out in the country. The problem is, they don't come to the country, they bring the crappy city to the country. They drink in excess I can't even fathom. They scream. They hoot. They holler. They play loud, crappy music. They don't want the peace of the country. They want to be the same belligerent jerks they are at home, just in a different place, and call it camping. I despise these people and pity them at times. I disagree with, the harder it is to get to, the fewer douchebags. It's just a different type of douchebag. Everest is a case in point. Also, ultralight backpacking, when the gear itself is the main part of the hobby, leads to a lot of gatekeeping snobbery. As an avid ham, I'm voting amateur radio. Lots of old, salty, undiagnosed, neurodivergent men that hate the world. Also a whole lot of cool people too.
I thought the physics part of it was super interesting, but good lord, the people! Like, wow, I can talk directly to someone on the other side of the continent with no internet or cable or anything in between, just an antenna? Amazing. What shall we talk about? Oh, the antenna, or MAGA, or your health problems. Those are the three choices. I started getting into ham radio, and every single real person or online source I found talked about how many douchey gatekeepers there are. I was about halfway through the first book, and I asked myself, why am I doing this? Even the people who do it don't seem to like most of the people in it, and it seems expensive, especially for that sort of outcome.
I'd say that about hobby electronics in general. Frequently see forum discussions about a simple question and answer exchange descend into carnage because of salty, undiagnosed, neurodivergent men that hate the world. The editor, or possibly now former editor, of Silicon Chip magazine comes to mind also.
Audiophiles. It's filled with pedantry, like record versus vinyl, gear snobbery and gatekeeping, and heaps of unscientific magical thinking.
I hate hobbies where your hobby is essentially buying stuff.
I've found audiophiles like to listen to their gear more than their music. That said, good speakers paired with an amp don't cost much and will sound remarkably better than your TV speakers. If you love music, it's worth your money, in my opinion.
Yeah, don't get me wrong, good audio equipment can be amazing, but unless you're hyper-focused on trying to notice a difference and have trained your ear, you will literally not be able to tell the difference between an MP3 at 320 kilobits per second versus lossless audio. Even then, It's going to depend on how it was produced, so it still might be impossible. But MP3s are trash. Your so-called high-fidelity cables also aren't any better than common copper cables.
All I'm getting out of this is everyone is a douchebag.
Ceramics is where it's at. I've been around the art for about 15 years, and everyone is supportive as hell, and the only thing they really question is, did you enjoy making it?
That's because the real douchebags are Redditors, laugh out loud.
R/RC cars, it's about as chill as it gets.
I'm in the UK, and everyone I've met who plays American football in the UK has been an absolute wanker.
As someone who used to play American football in the UK, I hated about 98% of my teammates, and that's coming from me, a wanker.
Side by sides. They post on social media about big meets out in the desert near me, then go party and leave piles of garbage, beer cans, and of course, dirty diapers, all while wrecking the trails and roads.
I'm not familiar with them. What is this?
Yes! I'm shocked I had to scroll this far down to find side-by-sides. The worst kind of people.
In my state, they just tear around the rural roads openly drinking and going way too fast.
Anything that involves the phrases TikTok, clout, and influencer parties. Edit. The irony of this comment blowing up on a platform where clout is literally useless is very funny to me.
What in the hell is an influencer party? Laughed my ass off.
Fly fishing can surprisingly be quite snobby and douchey.
Salsa dancing. Every single guy I've met who is big in the salsa scene is a huge creep. And every woman I've met in the salsa scene has been harassed or assaulted by their teacher or partners, without exception.
Disagree. Salsa is by far the friendliest group of welcoming people I have ever met in my life.
Pickleball. It's like, relax, dude. You're playing diet tennis.
Yes, totally my experience. I only started playing because I heard it was a fun, casual, low-stakes, social activity. Maybe it was that way at first, but it's been taken over by the over-competitive douchebags. At first, pickleball at the local park was all old folks. Now when I see people playing, it's dudes around 25 to 35, acting like they're training to be special forces or something. It's real weird.
What was that story on here about some woman trying to support her husband's attempts to go pro at pickleball? It was real cringe.
Photography. I've been doing it since 2017, and I've learned that the most important thing is taking photos I like as opposed to chasing the arbitrary approval of other photographers. Photographers love to gatekeep other photographers, work for arbitrary reasons. Sure, there are objective reasons to say a photo is bad, like clipped pixels or the subject not being in focus. But a lot of the commonly adopted rules are imposed on photographers for seemingly no reason, other than the preferences of other photographers being spread as gospel. Don't center the subject, don't use a square crop, don't use selective color. All of these rules have no objective basis in separating good from bad photography. They don't teach anyone anything other than conformity to the hive mind. Lots of douchebags in the photo industry, especially wildlife photography. Youth sports parents living through their kids. Nothing worse than a crybaby parent throwing a tantrum.
I coach hockey. I've seen some terrible things in Tier 4 games where it's about playing and loving it and not aspiring to the big leagues.
My dad was an Olympic volleyball player and thought coaching club would be fun. He lasted 4 years. He could not stand the parents. Name a famous volleyball player. One. It's just a fun sport. I loved that line.
My brother-in-law coached my nephew's 4- and 5-year-old t-ball team. He had to have come to Jesus talks with so many dads about realistic expectations for their kids and not screaming at their preschoolers for missing a catch. At that age, they're doing great if they only stop once or twice to pick dandelions or don't play tag with the other outfielders. Even Wade Boggs, rest in peace, probably wandered off to eat fried chicken when he was 4.
Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button. It really helps. Subscribe for more, and tap the bell so you don't miss the next one.